Thank you for accessing this video. This video explains Chapter 10 of Electricity for Water Supply Facility from the Manual for DPHE to support POSHWA on O&M of Piped Water Supply System. This video was created based on the training material used in the training of trainers for the PICMAC DPHE Phase 2 project supported by JICA. This module covers page number is from P10-1 to P10-20. Today we will learn about points on the operation and maintenance for pipeline facilities in POSHWA piped water supply schemes. By the end of this module, you should feel confident giving technical supports to POSHWA engineers to diagnose pipeline performance, understand failures, and guide proper operation and maintenance. So let us begin by understanding what pipeline is, how it works, and why it is essential for safe drinking water supply. Through this session, you will be able to understand the basic knowledge of electricity in piped water supply systems. Recognize the risks involved in pipeline O&M activities. Diagnose pipeline conditions using key parameters. Identify necessary actions and practical countermeasures for supporting POSHWAs. The session will proceed in 3 parts. Starting from providing knowledge of the basic theory, this is important because a solid understanding of the principles allows you to solve problems more easily. Then we will see what points should be confirmed for the water facility diagnosis and necessary action and countermeasures. These are the items you must check for evaluating pipeline facility. After that, we will also look at troubleshooting and inspection, where you can utilize it as a summary of the technical points. Let's begin the basic theory. First of all, handling electrical equipment involves significant danger. Electricity is invisible and can cause death if someone is electrocuted, so it must be handled with great care. As the voltage increases, the level of danger also increases. This chapter explains the basic configuration of the power and control system shown in the figure. It also describes the operation and maintenance of pumps and generators, which are the main electrical components. Under normal conditions, the facility operates using commercial power. A generator is installed as a backup source to keep the system running during power outages. In Bangladesh, the commercial power supply is a 3-phase 3.3 kV line. This voltage is stepped down to 3-phase 415 volt to drive the submersible pump installed in the well. Inside the control panel, part of the power is further distributed as a single-phase 220 volt supply. This is used for control circuits, lighting, and maintenance tools. Based on this basic configuration, the next part of the lecture will explain how each component operates during actual system operation. Electrical energy is converted into mechanical power by a motor. The motors used in electric facilities are AC types, which are classified into 3 categories: commutator type, synchronous type, and induction type. For pumps and other machinery used in water supply facilities, induction motors are generally the most common. In particular, 3-phase induction motors generate a rotating magnetic field by combining 3 electrical phases. This magnetic force drives the internal components, allowing pumps, agitators, and similar equipment to operate. Induction motors are characterized by their simple structure and high durability. Their basic structure is shown in this photo. When starting a motor, it accelerates until the rotational speed stabilizes, requiring high torque and causing large currents. Various starting methods exist to avoid the large current. This table compares the main starting methods of three-phase induction motors and their characteristics, providing a reference for selecting an appropriate starting method according to the motor capacity and installation conditions. First, direct online starting is the simplest and lowest cost starting method, in which the motor is started by directly connecting it to the power supply. This method has a very simple circuit configuration and requires only a small control system. However, a large inrush current flows at startup. Therefore, it is mainly used for small capacity motors, typically less than 3.7 kW. Next, star delta starting is a commonly used starting method for medium capacity motors. In this method, the motor is first started in a star connection and then switched to a delta connection after the rotational speed increases. This switching reduces the starting current. However, this method requires 6 wires between the motor and the control panel. As a result, longer wiring distances can be a disadvantage in terms of installation. Despite this, it is widely used because it can reduce starting current at relatively low cost. Finally, autotransformer starting is a starting method used for large capacity motors. In this method, the motor is started through an autotransformer that reduces the voltage during startup. This significantly decreases the starting current. However, because a transformer must be installed, the control panel becomes larger and the equipment cost increases. This method is generally applied to large capacity motors of approximately 75 kW or more. In Bangladesh, the majority are star-delta methods. The top diagram illustrates reactor starting. In this method, a reactor is connected in series with the motor power supply to reduce the voltage applied to the motor during startup. This helps suppress the starting current. After the motor accelerates to a certain speed, the reactor is bypassed by switching the contactors, allowing the motor to operate at the normal supply voltage. Although the circuit configuration is relatively simple, the reduced voltage also results in lower starting torque. The middle diagram shows soft starter starting. A soft starter uses semiconductor devices to gradually increase the voltage supplied to the motor, enabling smooth acceleration. This method reduces starting current and mechanical shock, which helps protect equipment and extend the service life of machines such as pumps and fans. It also contributes to improved power quality in the electrical system. The bottom diagram illustrates inverter control. An inverter controls both the frequency and voltage of the power supplied to the motor, allowing flexible adjustment of the motor's rotational speed. During startup, the motor begins with low frequency and low voltage, and the frequency is gradually increased. This enables the motor to start with very low starting current. In addition, inverter control allows speed regulation and energy-saving operation during normal operation. Recently, soft start methods have also become common in Bangladesh. Next, we will look at the generator. A generator is used as an alternative power source when the commercial power supply is unavailable due to outages or other issues. A generator consists of an engine and a power generation unit. The engine takes in fuel and air and compresses them. Combustion then occurs, producing mechanical energy that is converted into electrical power. The exhaust gas from the combustion is discharged to the outside through the exhaust system. These are the main components inside the generator. They include a fuel injection pump that supplies fuel, an alternator that converts mechanical energy into electrical power, an air filter for the intake system, and a fuel filter that removes dirt and water from the fuel to protect the fuel pump and other components. The upper left, automatic voltage regulator detects the fluctuation of electrical load and stabilizes output power voltage of AC. It prevents overload or voltage drop and protects electric devices. The upper right, a thyristor in a generator acts like a smart switch that controls excitation current, which helps keep the generator's voltage steady. Bottom left, shown rotor stator. The rotor is the rotating part of a generator that creates a magnetic field when it spins. The stator is the fixed part that has copper coils. When the rotor spins inside the stator, its magnetic field cuts the coils and produces electricity. In short, rotor creates the magnetic field and stator produces the electrical output. Bottom right, a silicon rectifier in a generator is used to convert AC into DC. To be more precise about this conversion process, the silicon rectifier helps control the generator's output by providing the correct DC excitation current needed for stable voltage production. The capacity of a generator is expressed in kilovolt-amperes. This indicates its power supply capability and is calculated as the product of voltage and current. On the other hand, the capacity of electrical equipment is usually expressed in kilowatts or horsepower. This represents the actual power consumed by equipment such as motors. In practice, not all generated power is effectively used by the motor. For example, reactive power is required during startup and an operation. Therefore, the power supplied by the generator is greater than the power consumed by the motor. Then, how we can estimate generator's capacity? The generator capacity is determined by the large load at pump startup. In star delta case, about 2.223 times of the pump rated power is required for startup. So, when pump capacity is 10 kilowatt, the generator capacity will be 20 to 230 kilovolt amperes. When starting multiple pumps, if two pumps are to be operated, for example, the first pump should be allowed to run. The second pump should be allowed to start after the first pump reaches a steady state. The generator capacity at that time is equal to first pump output times 1.25 plus second pump output times 2.2 or 3. Parallel operation of generators is rarely used because of the need to synchronize frequencies. As for the repairing the generator problem, an expert will be called since it requires advanced mechanical knowledge. Next, transformer. A transformer is a device that converts electricity received at high voltage from the power company to a lower voltage that is easier to use in water supply facilities. In Bangladesh, transformers are used to convert 33 kV to 415 volt. Basically, the power transmission is controlled by the Bangladesh Power Development Board. However, other companies or authorities also generate power under contract with Government of Bangladesh. Single-line diagram is a simplified representation of an electrical system. It is also known as an SLD or one-line diagram. Symbols and lines are used to represent the nodes and connections in the system, and electrical characteristics may be included as well. An example of a single-line diagram is shown in this slide. This kind of diagram in each water facility will help you to understand overall structure of electric system in the facility. Particularly when a malfunction occurs in equipment or electrical lines, it is necessary to check whether they are live. This is the simplest pump control panel configuration. First, the functions of the MCCB, number 1, MCB, number 4 and thermal relay, number 3 are explained. The MCCB protects the main circuit and is designed for higher current capacity, while the MCB protects the control circuit with lower current ratings. The thermal relay protects the motor from overload by tripping and deactivating the contactor, shown at number 2. Next, let's see the operation of the selector switch, number 7. When the selector switch is set to manual as shown, M, the pump is operated manually using the push buttons. Pressing on activates the contactor and starts the pump operation, while pressing off stops its operation. When the selector switch is set to automatic as shown, A, the pump operates automatically according to the water level in the tank via the float switch at number 8. When you operate the pump manually, first turn on the MCCB and MCB. Then set the selector switch to M and press on button to start the pump. To stop the pump, press off button. Here, let's dive into more detail of component parts. The circuit breaker, MCCB, is a protective device for the main circuit that interrupts excessive current, such as overloads and short circuits, and can be adjusted to suit the operating conditions. It also has a high braking capacity, making it suitable for large electrical systems. Electromagnetic contactor is an electrically operated device that uses an electromagnetic coil to open and close a circuit, allowing a small control signal to switch large currents. It is widely used for motor control, enabling frequent switching as well as remote and automatic operation, and is typically used together with a thermal relay for overload protection. Auxiliary relay. The MCCB autonomously detects overcurrent and short circuits and independently disconnects the main circuit. The auxiliary relay's role comes after this. It receives the resulting status signal from the MCCB's auxiliary contacts and transmits it as a low-current signal to external systems such as alarm panels, indicator lights, or uses it to trigger the coordinated shutdown of related equipment via interlock circuits. In short, the auxiliary relay has no involvement in the MCCB's disconnection operation itself. A timer relay is a relay that operates after a set period of time. It is used when you need to control timing. For example, starting a motor 3 seconds after pressing a button, or triggering an alarm only if an abnormality persists for more than 5 seconds. Within the control circuit, it acts as a timing coordinator for other devices and has no involvement in the MCCB's disconnection operation. Thermal relay functions for overheat detection and ambient temperature changes caused by resistance to current flow. It acts as part of a mechanism to open and close electrical contacts when the temperature exceeds a certain threshold. A 3E relay is an electronic protection relay that monitors motor current and protects against overload, phase loss, and imbalance. If a short circuit occurs, the circuit breaker trips and the circuit cannot be used. You can use the resistance mode of a tester to find the short circuit point and check continuity. To measure insulation resistance between lines, turn off the power and measure the resistance between the wires. To measure insulation resistance to ground, measure the resistance between the wire and a grounded metal part.